We utilise the messages tool very heavily at Swinburne. However, there's no way to have messages aggregate to the top and appear, for instance, in the notifications dashboard. And so teachers are greatly frustrated by the fact that they have to click into each one of their units. Oh, by the way, we use units to refer to courses um, in order to access the messages tool to check whether there are messages there. Often there are not, and then they need to return to My Units and repeat it again for all of their subsequent units. And that, in some cases, can run to tens, dozens, even hundreds. And so we really for a solution where we could see from one screen all of the messages windows down the screen and just simply scroll through them. Uh, what I've developed is effectively a piece of JavaScript to do that, and wrapped it up in what's called a bookmarklet. I'm going to click it now and then describe how it works. So what happens is it reads each link to each course and embeds underneath it a messages window. It's actually what's called an iframe that displays, in fact, the contents of the messages tool for that course. And you might see down the screen that for each one of my units of study, now I've got probably hundreds, so this process can take some minutes, but basically each unit or each course has the relevant messages window displayed directly below it. Indeed, this is completely functional, so I could, from this screen, hit create message and compose a new message. So they can really deal with all of their messages for all of their units in one fell swoop. Now, the way this works, and I'll just flip over now to my code tool, which is TextMate, to describe some of the underlying programming here. So first of all, it loads a JavaScript library called jQuery, and those familiar with JavaScript will be familiar with this. It then, and this is probably the most useful thing, there are some variables defined here which will be used to build up the various frames which display those messages windows you saw moments earlier. And if you adopt this technique, you'll need to change this code here, at least, to represent your installation. So this is ours. It then, in this section of the code here, goes through and finds all of the links to courses, and then it builds a frame for each one of those. Now, we have a particular naming convention for our courses that our current delivery ones begin with 2011. And so I've got a little if statement here that basically says, well, look, let's only deal with courses that start with 2011 hyphen and not bother to build the messages windows for others. So if you adopt this, you may either want to edit that if statement or indeed remove it entirely. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell. What it isn't, I guess, is it isn't integrated into the platform. It's not a building block. I have no administrative rights. It's really a workaround, and because we're quite separated here from our administrative services, then we're looking for solutions that we can implement, if you like, at the client side without having to go through the bureaucratic processes of getting a power link developed. So it's a workaround. If it's useful to you, feel free to adopt it. I'll include some instructions for use and also the source code such that people can tinker with it. And if you find anything that you can add to this or that you see some enhancements for it, I'd be very grateful for them. So I hope that you find that useful.